Hi guys, I'm Fancy and this is the Goodwives Network. So a couple days ago, I made a video talking about the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case. I did a reaction video to Mia Blanchard as well. And some people were beginning to ask, who am I and how am I a leading expert and how do I know these people? And so it's been a while since I've talked about that, and I figured I would come on and explain the beginning of this case, how this happened. So let's just get into that. So basically, I am an actress and a very small time producer. I've done a web series. I have worked on and these are my own projects. Now, when I was young, I was in Hollywood and I did some things in Hollywood. And obviously I grew up on stage and all of that, but I left the industry for 20 years and then I came back to it while I was here in Kentucky, which I quickly realized that the industry here wasn't really producing the kind of content that I was interested in being in. And I was working with my acting coach, Amy Linden, and I just love her to death, guys. So if you are acting and you're looking for coaching or anything like that, look her up. It's called the Linden Technique, Amy Linden. And she actually has a couple of shows on our network, the Goodwives Network, that we are working on bringing to Roku, Amazon, and Android. So she's got Fascinating People. She's got 2 different movies on there, and I just adore her. But anyway, I was working with her, and we were working on a script, and basically, like, I was just not feeling it, and she stopped me, and she, it went down to, what are you doing? Because this is not what we really think about. And when we're doing this, you don't usually act like this, and this is not what I wanted. And so I told her basically, Amy, I'm really unhappy. I don't like any of the things that are here that I'm looking, to do. And so she basically said, Fancy, if the content that you want to make is not out there, then go create it. So that was how I got into producing a mini series and then working on a couple other things. And I started working on my own type of content. Well, long story short, basically, I saw the advertisement on Facebook for Mommy Dead and Dearest and thought, well, that's really interesting, but it hadn't come out yet. So I started looking into how this case came about. I wanted to know more about it. So I started doing an internet search. At the time, I was not even really aware of how Facebook groups worked. I really wasn't. Social media. My husband, okay, so our car broke down and my husband keeps calling. So guys, if my husband calls and I have to do this in a couple of different pieces, please just keep coming back. I'm sorry. But anyway, so basically I got into the largest Facebook group about the case, in the very beginning. I got into that group. I didn't even realize how Facebook groups existed, what they were like, anything like that. I'd really never been in a whole lot of them until then, and so I started reading everything I could find on the case, anything and everything. And I was hours and hours in this Facebook group, just reading and reading and reading. And I kept coming across all these people that were bashing Christy Blanchard. And Christy Blanchard is Gypsy's stepmother. She is married to Rod currently, and she has 2 children with Rod. She has Gypsy's brother Dylan and Gypsy's sister Mia. So she has both of those children, and they're Gypsy's half siblings. So anyway, I kept seeing all these women bashing Christy. I'm sorry, guys. I suffer from COVID. Okay. Am I still on? I think I'm still on. Oh, God. Sorry, guys. So I suffer from long-term COVID, so I do have a little bit of brain fog, and other issues. But so if I stumble or whatever, please just bear with me, because sometimes when I'm speaking live like this, I get, nervous and my brain gets jumbled. But I'm doing my best here to go through this. But anyway, okay. So I was in the Facebook group noticing women that were bashing Christy, and I couldn't figure this out. I didn't understand what had Christy done that could possibly warrant all these people to be bashing her. I'm like, she's not the mom. She didn't do all of this. So when I came to this case, guys, I came to it with a heart of compassion and wanting to understand and really identifying with Gypsy. I was an abused child. I had a very tumultuous relationship with my mother. But I loved my mother dearly. And I had lost my mother as a young 29-year-old woman. I lost my mom just about the time that I had reconciled with my mother and became friends. So I understood a lot of some of the emotions that I imagined Gypsy was feeling. So, and the abuse and the overbearing and all of those things. So I understood all those things, and I was like, oh my God, this case really resonates with me. And so when I started looking into it, I came to this wanting to just understand the truth of this case. And I reached out to Christy because I just didn't know why people were bashing her. And so I didn't think she'd respond. I reached out on Messenger. I sent her a quick message. I said, hi, I am a small town producer. I do mostly scripted content. I'm wondering if a scripted series about your story would be interesting to people, since a lot of people, some people don't watch documentaries. And this was long before the act was even thought about. And so I just reached out, and I said, mother to mother, I don't know why you're being bashed. I really would love to know more about this. And I left it at that. And during this period of time, I had traveled out to California again, looking to try and work on selling a couple of my other shows. So I was working out there. I was away from my family. I'd left them back here in Kentucky, trying to see if we could, eventually move them back out with me to California. And thankfully, we didn't do that. Whoo, boy. Well, that's a story for a different day, though. But anyway, and I was on my way to work that morning, and I get a phone call, and it says New Orleans or Louisiana. I don't know if it was New Orleans, but Louisiana. It was a Louisiana number. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because she had messaged me back, and I was really excited. I'd messaged her back, and I'd been like, oh goodness, you can call me anytime. And she called, and I was like, freaking out. So I'm walking to work, and I'm freaking out about it. And I'm talking to her. And the first things, she said was, I really felt, let's see if it, okay. All right. I really felt like your message was heartfelt. And I just really wanted to talk with you. And so we started talking, and she explained to me, though, that she was still under contract with HBO, and that they were, had 6 months to go under their contract. So they couldn't do anything officially for about 6 months. And I said, that's fine. I'll wait. And so we basically began talking for months. We talked every day. We shared things. She shared things with me, but we were not working on anything in an official capacity. We were just talking at that time and getting to know each other. I was able to talk to Gypsy through all of that period of time. And we waited. So through this, we built what I considered was a friendship. I thought we were becoming friendly and having a friendship. So as soon as the 6 months had ended with HBO, Christy calls me again. And she says, today's the day, we're out of contract. And by this time I'd been back to I've been from California. I came back to Kentucky to be with my family. And I had decided that if I was going to work on this, that it would be easier if I worked on it from Kentucky than all the way in California, because from Kentucky, I could drive to Louisiana. So the day that we get the call, I called my daughter, and I said, hey, we got the call. Let's go. So we hopped in the car, we packed everything up, and we drove down to Louisiana. We stayed with a friend of ours, and we spent a week's time talking and meeting. We met Rod and Christy, Mia. We met Dylan. We met the Petrie family, which is Dee Dee's family. Christy took us all over the area, showed us where they went to school, where they met. We did all of that. We sat and looked at all of the different documents. And guys, at this point in time, I sat on the floor with Christy crying, going through these documents, trying to understand the ins and outs of this case. And I sat listening to the stories about Dee Dee, from her siblings and thinking, oh my God, she really was a horrible person. And that was one of the things that I talk about, and we talk about this in the podcast. Like, I talk about the fact that when the siblings talk about their sister, they don't have anything nice to say. There's literally not one story that they can say that's nice. And at the end of our interviews with them, that was one of the things we asked them. We're like, hey, you guys talk about loving your sister and how much you miss her and you love her, but not a single one of the stories you've shared with us today is a story that is positive about your sister. Do you have anything positive to say about her? And they both looked at us. We were with both sisters at this point. And I think the brothers might have been in the room as well. I'd have to check with Sarah to see what she says. But it's been a long time. Because we didn't tape them. We didn't want to video the we didn't want to video the interviews with the Petrie family the first time we went in there, is because they hadn't talked with anybody yet. They had not done that, and we didn't want to spook them. So we decided we'd just go in and speak to them and just write down what accounting we could. And I wish we had. I really do wish we had taped them now, but it is what it is. But anyway, the brothers were there, I think, and this is definitely Dorla and Claudia were both there though, and they both looked at us, and it was such a foreign look, as almost like, why would you even ask her that? Is that? And then one of them said to us, look, we love our sister. She's our sister. But no, we don't have nice things to say about her. We don't have good stories to tell, because there aren't. But she's our sister, and we loved her. And I think the same kind of stories, the same sort of stories were being told about their mother as well. Nothing they said was nice. Like, they didn't tell these loving, wonderful, beautiful stories. They were really stories that I'm like, wow, I understand. So when I started, I didn't start with this mindset of, oh my goodness, I'm out to get Gypsy Rose Blanchard. That was not where I started. I started wanting to tell the truth of this story in a way that I felt that the public could understand. And along the way, we realized that a narrative had really been taken. And the more that we asked for evidence and the more evidence we got, the more the story that the public had seen wasn't the story. It just wasn't. And that was where the break between me and my team and the Blanchard family happened. And through all of this, there's a lot of other drama and things that happened. We had a stalker. She had minions. We ended up having to go to the FBI over that. There was all kinds of craziness with that woman that I actually found out later was being perpetuated by the Blanchards themselves. There was so much that happened. But my bitterness or my disagreement on this case, and yes, do I have a dislike of Gypsy personally? Yes, I do. But is that part of my documentary? No, it's not. My personal dislike is because of the way that they have treated me personally, and they have interfered in my life. They tried to hurt my family. Gypsy sent me a letter threatening me, saying that the last person who got in her way, isn't here anymore. I don't take that as a light threat. I'm sorry. I have that in documented writing. So really, when we kept asking and asking and asking for the interrogation video, it was the one piece of evidence that we believed was somehow going to really show us, honestly, what we were looking for was Gypsy saying that her mother abused her. We wanted to see where that was, what happened, because what we had seen in Mommy Dead and Dearest, she's, pretending like she doesn't know, da 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 da. And then the way that I knew there was more than what we had seen was I was doing a project with A&E, and A&E came out with their, it's not Killer Cases. Which one was theirs? Theirs was the one that was more about Nick, and I was working with them on a follow-up to that, and I provided some information for that, and then we didn't end up working on it, but we worked on a different project with A&E. But we noticed that there was more of the interrogation video, so I messaged the producer from that I was talking with, and I said, hey, you have more of the interrogation video than what was in Mommy Dead and Dearest and what I have in this discovery file. And I have been trying to get this for 3 years now. I had been asking, and Christy kept giving us every answer under the sun. Stole their copy. She said that, if she asked for their copy back, Aaron could get in trouble. I told her, no, that's not true. They have to provide you back everything that you gave them. Like, we went around and around and around, and we couldn't get it from Greene County. They weren't giving it. So we finally found it. What I found out from the producer was that they'd gotten it from Wisconsin. And I couldn't even believe it. I had never even put in a FOIA request to Wisconsin at all. So I thought, oh my God, I can't even believe it. But she asked me, do you want it? So I said, absolutely, send it over, please. She did. Then we put in our own FOIA request to Wisconsin. And that's how we ended up getting this interrogation video. I'm telling you guys, that was the changing moment in our entire team's thought process about everything we knew about this case. And since the public has never seen the whole thing, it was up on our YouTube channel for a while, and I think it may be out there now, but most of the public hasn't seen it. Once we saw that, based on the other evidence we already had, now, because we did work closely with the family, Gypsy did sign over all of her medical records to us. We were provided additional things from the families. We got the entire discovery file, and I worked with Patterson's office. They gave us all of that. And then we worked with the family to get more of the things. So I've seen every one of Gypsy's medical records. I have them all in an entire huge tub of medical documents. I've got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of medical records. It's insanity, guys. It's insanity. And so based off of that, there were questions we had, and we had been ignoring them. Okay. There were questions we had all along, that things that didn't add up, things that didn't make sense, things that that doesn't go with that, and wait, that doesn't add up to that. And this story doesn't make exact sense here. And so we didn't go into this with malicious intent or trying to think that we were going to break this case wide open. That was not our intent. But when I got the interrogation video, I sat down and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to watch this and I'm going to see her eventually tell the truth. And she's going to tell them what happened to her. And then I watched it. And my heart broke. And I was sobbing uncontrollably by the time I was done watching this, guys. And then I watched it again for a second time. And then I called Christy. And I said, have you seen this entire thing? And she goes, no, I've never seen the entire thing. And I said, Christy, you have to watch this entire thing. It's bad. It's real bad, Christy. And she's like, yeah, I know. That's why I've never watched it. And I said, no, if you're going to continue to do interviews and if we're going to do this together still, you got to see this. And we were still on good terms, guys. We were still on good terms at this point. And honestly, Christy and I were on good terms way past where I was not on good terms with Gypsy anymore. She worked with us for a very long time where she didn't want Gypsy to know she was working with us, and she continued working with us because she really did I think she just wanted the money, but she really wanted the truth told, according to her. Anyway, and I said, you've got to watch this. And so then I called the rest of the team. I sent it to the rest of the team, and I called a Zoom meeting, and I said, all right, guys, I want you to watch this, and then I want your honest reactions to it. I don't want to tell you what I've seen. I don't want to influence how you feel about it. I don't want to do any of those things. I do suggest you grab a box of Kleenex, and you're in for a wild ride. And so I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And then the reactions started coming in, and every single one of them was in shock. We could not believe what we had watched. And then we had our meeting, and we discussed it, and we agreed we had to start over from scratch. We had to look at this with a totally different lens. We had to be more critical. We had to really understand what happened. We needed to be more critical in our lens. And that's where it really started to fall apart, because we started asking questions that we hadn't asked before. And we started questioning the answers we were getting, because they weren't lining up with the evidence we really had in front of us. And so that was where the shift came. And for the longest time, we had a lot of misconceptions about who Nick was. And only through me going back to school this last year. So I was inspired this last year to return to school to finish my degree in forensic psychology. Because through all of this, getting into true crime, I've always said I fell into true crime. I really set out to do other content and ended up in the true crime sector and really loving it. Now, I've always liked true crime. I just never thought I'd make a career of true crime. And so I was inspired to go back to school. I'm finishing up my senior year as a forensic psychology major, and I have done nothing but talk about this case in my classes to get perspective and understanding. And one of those things has been trying to better understand Nicholas. And through doing so, I'm telling you why he did this and what people think about how and why he did this are, excuse me, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Very sorry. My opinions have changed over the years, and I have a better understanding of him. And sadly, in the beginning, we tried to reach out to Nick. We tried to talk with Bobby, his father, and that got really messed up by this group of people that were, these women that were protecting him and all this crap. It just was a nightmare of people. And at one point in time, Bobby was like, oh, I'll talk to you for $1 million, So he won't talk to us, but through what we do have exclusive emails and things like that no one's ever seen before, that we will be sharing in our documentary. And so I feel like we have such a different perspective on him. And while I still believe that he should not be back out in society, I just don't. I don't think he should. I do believe that he got the raw end of this deal, and I do believe that there should be some sort of facility that he could live some sort of quasi-normal life. He should not be in prison with hard criminals that are going to take advantage of him. That's what's going to happen to him. I mean, it's sad, but he is, he'll be a victim in prison. It's sad. Unless somebody takes him under their wing and hopefully somebody, protects him and keeps him safe. But I fear that Nick is not going to fare well in prison. It's sad. I mean, he's been there for 8 years and he's doing whatever, but I'm sure it's not a great life for him at all. Not that prison is for anybody, but especially for a guy like that. It's sad that this whole story is sad. Anyway, that's how we got started with the story. It's how we became the leading experts. Okay, and then I wanted to address one more thing. And if you guys have questions, please, by all means, I can't see if you guys are asking questions. I can see people watching, but I don't see anybody asking anything. If you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask. And if you have questions later, you can always send them to us too. Okay. Anyway, so damn it, I lost my train of thought. So I'm not going to go into all of the unraveling of it, but that was the beginning of the unraveling for us. And they were very upset because they did not like that we were going to start sharing the truth that they didn't want out there. And so Gypsy, basically got very angry at this point. The fiance was involved at this time, the first fiance. And so the world was starting to get real crumbly over there. And Christy and Gypsy, Rowdy, please don't bark. Christy was doing all the interviews for like In Touch and People and, Dr. Oz and all of those things. And there was becoming a problem between her and Gypsy about this. And so Christy came to me and asked me to start doing the interviews. That's how I started becoming the person that was the spokesperson for the Blanchard family. That was my original title. I was a spokesperson for the Blanchard family. That's how we originally went out and talked about me. Because I was acting on behalf of Christy. So Christy would tell me what to say, what I could and couldn't say, what the answers to certain questions were, things like that. And I would represent the family. Well, then, obviously Gypsy asked Christy to stop. So Christy pushed me to keep going and doing these interviews. And so, because, I can do it. Where can we see this truth? Well, guys, so Angel, we've put out a 13 episode podcast in the past, and we've had it out on our YouTube channel up until this year. Our podcast, so what we're going to do is we are going to be releasing our first episode sometime in November on the Goodwives network. So that's on Roku, Amazon, Android, and online at thegoodwivesnetwork.com. Give it a couple of days. Our website is being revamped, so we can't, so it's down right now, but it'll be up in a couple of days. And so that's where we're going to be doing it. We'll be airing it on there. And then we will be re-releasing our YouTube and our podcasts, on YouTube and podcast platforms everywhere. So that way you guys can have those as companion pieces. So that's where we're going to be doing all of that. And I'll be sprinkling truth here and there but I'm going to do a lot over on TikTok. I just can't go live on TikTok yet. We don't have the following over there yet because I wasn't using TikTok before. So I'm going to be utilizing TikTok to share a lot of, quick little updates and things like that as we work through this first episode that we are finishing up and getting ready to put out in November. Anyway, so I was being asked to do the interviews. And that's where Gypsy and I had our falling out really heavily. She was angry and she was being lied to as to why I was doing the interviews. And Christy was playing both sides of the field. Ken was in the mix and he was creating a problem. Our stalker was creating problems. It was a nightmare. Dawn was in the mix with Nick doing all of this stuff. This story has so many twists and turns and craziness, guys. It's not even funny. And it doesn't end with just the murder. But no, so I didn't set out to dig in and find the truth of, Gypsy's lying. That is not how all of this started, guys. I really just want to tell the truth. And so that's what we're going to do. We are going to present all the evidence that we have, every stitch of everything we got. And then we're going to set out to allow the audience to decide what they believe. I am not going to take a narrative. Will I express my opinions? Yes. Will Colleen and Sarah express their opinions? Yes. Will you hear opinions from experts? Of course. But then you know, we hope that we present the most comprehensive look at this case, and then you decide what you believe is the truth, what you think is the real representation of this case. And I'm going to say it one more time right here from the very beginning again, for those of you that are coming to me for the first time. Was Gypsy an abused child? Yes. Yes. Not in the way that you think, but yes, she was an abused child. But if you start with, yes, she was an abused child, and no, I don't know anything really about this case until I see the evidence, I'm asking you to start there. Start fresh. Start with this case like you've never seen it before. Come in, look at the evidence, watch the show, and by the way, I have decided that I don't want to make money off of this documentary. Everybody wants to talk about how this is my somehow 15 minutes of fame, or I'm trying to make a name for myself. That has never been what I wanted to do. And if you're honest, all I've done for the last 7 years is spend money trying to tell this story. But I'm going to decide that a heavy amount of any money we ever make off of anything from Gypsy, if it's from speaking engagements or this documentary that, by the way, I'm financing by ourselves. Okay. I'm going to somehow donate it to Munchausen by proxy, child abuse research. I don't know. We will come up with something. I decided last night, because it is not my intention to make money off of this. However, I will say this. How is it any different than Dateline or ABC or NBC or A&E or Oxygen or HLN or any other podcaster out there trying to make money talking about true crime cases? It isn't. And I have done this for 7 years without a paycheck. And like I said, I've spent more money doing this than anything. And so, but because of the fact that, in all our honesty, what we wanted was truth and understanding. And I do believe that this case is more important than Gypsy, more important than Christy or Nick or Mia or any of them. This case is important because to understand what happened in this case medically and fraudulently, and how it all happened and how we really got to June 2015, literally, it's extremely important, and it will save lives, because the doctors should have been held accountable. I can say that the doctors should have been held accountable in this. But but I'm asking, really and honestly, guys, start over with us. Give it a shot. Look at the evidence that we present. Watch other evidence, look at everything, and then make a new decision, or keep the same decision. But at least you'll know that you've seen all of what is out there, because I have, and it changed my mind about how this case really happened and what went down. And we could leave it as, Rowdy, please. Hey, come here. Good boy. We could leave it as an abused girl decides to have her boyfriend kill her mom. We could. But that would not be doing this case and all the other kids that are affected by Munchausen by proxy and can be, and just, there's just a lot. I'm sorry. I'm starting to get overwhelmed and my dog is freaking me out. There's a lot to this case that just needs to be told. And I think that understanding the manipulation tactics and what really happened and how these doctors and everyone dropped the ball on this in all ways is extremely important. And that has not been done in this case yet. Heck, we have experts that say this is the worst case of child abuse they've ever seen, and they've never seen the case, nor talked to anybody in the case. I just give it a chance. Look at the evidence that we present, and if we ever make a penny, I promise we are going to announce here in a few days. I will figure it out what we're going to do if we ever make anything off of this. Maybe we'll set up a fund for something and put it towards that. I don't know. I'll figure something out. We do have a nonprofit, so maybe we can do some work through that for this. But like I said, this was never my intention, was not to make money doing this. I just wanted to tell the truthful story, and you know, that's it. So that's how I became the leading expert in the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case. I'm sorry it was so long. And I hope that you enjoyed that story, and I hope you keep coming back and check out the Goodwives Network, guys. Okay, so we're not just, and that's one other thing I wanted to clear up. I was going to talk about family friend thing, but we kind of talked about that, so I've already got that done. I'm not a family friend. I've never been a family friend, and I never will be a family friend. There was a time where I was friendly with the family, and I did think that we were friends. But professionally, I was never just a family friend. I've always been somebody telling this story. And so that's, you know, I don't present myself as a family friend. That is a term that the magazines chose, not me, and I have actually corrected that and asked them not to term me that way if they interview me anymore. Anyway, I'm still rambling now, but check out the Goodwives Network. We are not just a network of Gypsy Rose Blanchard experts. I don't know why somebody thought that that's what that meant. We are a network of women creating a network for women. So we have cooking shows, motivational shows, spiritual shows, devotional shows, kids shows. We've got Nature Coast Living. We've got makeup, a girl who does makeup and talks about her family. She's an influencer. We've got true crime. So guys, we've got it all. Anything and everything that could go for women's programming. We are a network for women by a network of women. And what we are hoping to do with this network is to enlighten, inspire, and empower women and their families all over the world. We also have a nonprofit that we are launching called Stop the Cycle of Abuse program, and we are hoping to help prevent intimate partner violence. And we have a lot of good work that we're working on. Some of the content creators that we're working with are incredible. I love everybody, and the vision that we have over here at the Goodwives Network is just incredible. Truthful stories through truthful people, you know, and we hope that you'll check us out. We will be available. I'm hoping before the end of the month that we'll be back up and running. We switched platforms recently, but we will be available on Roku, Amazon, and Android to start with, and then we'll have our own website, thegoodwivesnetwork.com. The network will be back up and running again in a couple of days, and then hopefully or the website, and hopefully then our platforms will be up late October, early November. I'm really hoping to be up before I can't think of the damn holiday I want to be up for. Halloween. I'd really hope to be up before Halloween. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in today and watching me. I appreciate it. I hope you guys keep coming back and checking out my updates. Please follow us over on TikTok. That way that we can go live over there. We are on all social media at Goodwives Net. So GOODWIVESNET at Goodwives Net. Thanks and have a great day. Bye.